Hello and welcome to this video all about probability. So first of all, what actually is probability? So probability is all about calculating how likely or probable something is to happen. So it could be something like flipping a coin and getting tails, or rolling a dice and getting 6, for example. It can be described in words such as certain, impossible, or likely. Now, I would always say, from the GCSE Maths point of view, only use these words if they're actually on the page. If they're asking you to describe something using these words, then you can use them, but I wouldn't use them generally. I would always express them mathematically. So by that, I mean either as a fraction, a decimal between 0 and 1, so probability is always somewhere between 0 and 1, or as a percentage between 0 and 100. Look at this first question then. So there's 11 pens in a box, 5 red, 4 blue, 2 green. So I would like the probability of it being red and the probability of it being green. Let's take a look at the answers to this then. So for our red, it's got to be 5 out of 11. So if we look at the bottom of the fraction there, we can see we've got the number 11. So the bottom, when you're writing a probability as a fraction, the bottom number is always going to be the total number of outcomes, and the top number is going to be the outcome you are looking for, the outcome you want. Okay, so the total number of outcomes is always going to be on the bottom, so that's everything, and then on the top, then it'll be whatever it's referring to. So in this case, it's a red pen. And if we look at our green, then that's going to be 2 out of 11. So we've got two of the pens green out of 11 total pens. Okay, next question then. So we've got a fair 8-sided spinner here. I want to know the probability of it landing on the letter A. And here is your answer to this one. So it's just going to be 3/8 because we've got 8 individual sections, and the key word there is that word fair. So because it's fair, we know every section has got to be the same size, and we can see we've got 3 of them that have the letter A written on there. Next question then, I'm going to pick one of these cards at random. I want to know the probability of it being an odd number. And we've got 3 out of 7, 3/7 there as your answer, because we've got a 1, we've got a 5, and we've got a 3 there. So we've got 3/7 chance of selecting an odd number. Next question then, so the probability of Mina winning a badminton match is 5/8. So I want to know the probability of her not winning. And that should be 3/8. The reason it's 3/8 is because we've got 5/8 and 3/8. So all of the possible outcomes when you're looking at probability have got to add up to one whole one. So if we add together these two fractions, we've got 5 and 3 on the top there. That gives us 8 out of 8. So there's 2 possible outcomes here, her winning and her not winning. So that both of those outcomes have got to add up to one whole one. So question 5 then, the probability of Amy winning a tennis match is 0.6. What's the probability that she does not win this tennis match? And that should be 0.4. And the reason it's 0.4 is because all the possible outcomes have to add up to 1. If we take the 0.6 for winning away from 1, we get 0.4. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at some past paper questions on probability. So first question then, we've got in a bag, there's only red, blue and green discs. We know that there are 10 red discs. One of the discs is being pricked at random, and it's told you a couple of probabilities. So it's written it using this sort of notation here. So we've got P and then red. So that just means the probability of it being red is going to be 1 over 8. The probability of it being blue is 2/5. So we want to know how many green discs are in the bag. This is a 4-mark question, by the way. So that'll give you a good idea as to how much you've got to do. So let's take a look at this particular question then. Well, first of all, if you do 10 times 8, that tells you there's 80 discs in total. So if you look at here, the probability of it being red is 1 out of 8. And we know that those 10 red discs make that 1/8. So if you look at it like this, imagine that's all of the discs split into 8s. 7. So we know that every single part of this little block here, so every 1/8 is worth 10, and we've got 8 of those that make all of the discs, so that's why we end up with 80 there, which is why I've done 10 times 8. If you knew there was 80 and you knew the probability was 1/8, then you would divide by 8 if you were doing it that way around. Okay, now once we know that there's 80 discs, we can do 80 divided by 5 times by 2. That tells us there's 32 blue discs. And if we take those values away from 80, so if you take your blue away, take those 10 red discs away, and you're left with 38 green discs in total. So here's our next question then. So it tells you that the expected number of visitors to a park on each day depends on the temperature. So we've got a temperature here of less than 21 degrees. So they expect 700 visitors then, but when it's more people coming in, so we've got 900. It says on each of the 30 days in June the park's open, and the probability that it's less than 21 degrees Celsius is 0.4. We want to know the total number of expected visitors to the park in June, so the total number. Okay, let's have a little look at this then. So 0.4 times 30 will tell us that there are 12 days where it's less than 21 degrees. If we take that 12 away from the 30 days in June, there's 18 that are therefore more than 21 days. So then if we look at the 12 days where it's less than 21 degrees, we can do 12 times 700, which means there's 8,400 people in the park on those days. And then 18 times 900 for the warmer days, and that'll get you 16,200. If we then add those together, we get 24,600 people. So that's the expected number of visitors to the park in June. Okay, now final question then. So we've got a spinner here that's got 12 equal sections. That word equal is important here. We've got to now label it with A, B, C or D, and we need to meet these criteria. So we've got probability of being A being 1/6. Now B has got to be equal to C, and the probability that it lands on D is double. Think about that word double there, double A. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to deal with that A. So we're going to have 2 of them. Now the reason we've got 2 is because we know it's 1/6, a 1/6 chance of landing on A, but we've got 12 sections here. So if we double both of those, so 6 times 2 is 12, 1 times 2 is 2. So we've done that one. Now B and C we can't quite do yet because we've got these 10 sections, but we've got to actually deal with this D. Now we know that D is double A, so we can write down the 4 there, on 4 of them there, the D, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left, and because we know B and C are equal, we can write B on 3 of them, and C on the other 3. Okay, that's it for this video, so thank you very much for listening. I will do another probability video on relative frequency, and I will aim to do one on probability trees as well. So there will be some slightly more challenging questions than these, but thank you very much for listening.